Hello, my name is Anna Woodcock, and today I will talk you through my presentation on randomized controlled trial design. First, we will look at RCT designs and cover the different types of biases that need to be controlled for, then briefly touch on consort. A randomized controlled trial is a study designed to answer hypotheses around the effectiveness of interventions. To be able to design an RCT of good quality, the objective needs to be clear and concise. Stanley recommends that only one main study objective is to be focused on. The study needs to be ethically designed. It is only prudent to proceed with a study if there is any uncertainty around the effectiveness of the new intervention. Also, it is unethical to not offer standard treatment to those in the control group. This forces the researchers to keep up to date on any related studies and is known as equipoise. A basic RCT design includes an intervention group and a control group to which participants have been allocated randomly. Depending on the currently available treatments, designs can vary. When no standard intervention exists, the control group should receive a placebo. As mentioned, if a standard therapy is available, the study design needs to include this for the control group. It is also possible to test if the standard therapy can be improved upon when the new intervention is added. Here, the control group receives the standard treatment in the placebo, while the intervention group receives the new combination treatment. Staggered timing of the treatment can help identify at what point in the progression of a disease the intervention will be most effective. Additional factors to fine-tune the design are as follows. Stratification of participants prior to randomization is an additional step that can be taken to ensure that trial groups are properly balanced, not only for their treatment outcomes but also for other confounding variables. The experimental population will need to be sizable enough to represent the general population for which the intervention will apply to. Also, recruiting needs to be rapid, as during the recruiting period, other studies might remove uncertainty around the new intervention, making the continuation of the trial unethical. Blinding of participants, health professionals, and even outcomes assessors is important and needs to be planned to prevent selection, performance, and detection bias. Setting a primary endpoint at design stage is key to any RCT. This will aid in determining the number of participants required for the study and prevent the researchers from extending the study to influence the results. Safety of participants is critical. It is suggested that the study design includes monitoring throughout the trial. This should be completed by a third party as not to compromise blinding and to ensure ethical standards are maintained. We have briefly touched on a few biases, such as selection, detection, and performance bias, but there are two more to consider when designing an RCT. Attrition bias occurs when not all participants complete the trial, which is known as loss to follow-up. Depending on how many and from which group the participants have been lost, results should be considered as potentially biased. It is suggested that there be a follow-up rate of at least 80 to 85% and that the researchers capture the reasoning behind each lost participant. When study participants in the treatment group fail to adhere to their medication plan, they can mimic the results of the control group. On the other hand, participants in the control group might seek additional treatment outside the trial. To maintain randomization, it is recommended to produce an intention to treat analysis. Both processes relating to loss to follow-up and intention to treat analysis should be included in the study design so that attrition bias is controlled for. The final bias we will touch on here is reporting bias. This occurs when only selective outcomes are reported such as solely when there are significant findings to support a hypothesis, but not when the new intervention showed no benefits over the existing treatment. This might result in the belief that the intervention is more effective than it actually is. Now let's have a quick look at consort. Around 26 years ago, a group of experts in the field created a 25-item checklist to assess the reporting of RCT, which was named Consolidated Standards of Reporting Trials, or consort for short. This group also developed a basic flowchart for an RCT design, which can be seen here. Both can be utilized by research groups when designing and planning the reporting of their RCT. In conclusion, proper design and adherence to the design will offer the best control over potential biases, ensure patient safety, as well as internal and external validity. Nevertheless, any RCT should be critically appraised prior to including the findings in any clinical decision-making process. Here are the references I've used. Thank you for listening.